Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another vintage video. This video is sponsored by Top Decked, and we'll take a look at them after round one. Uh, I'm not gonna lie to you, I think today's deck list is the most excited I've been about, excited about a deck in about the last month. This is another Zayas MTG brew. They posted it on Twitter. I don't remember their exact record, but I think they had like either 3 trophies or like a trophy and 2 4-1s or something like that with this deck list. Essentially, this is the best Patchwork Automaton deck that I've ever seen. And I love this card. I totally want to explore this card in lots of formats. It has Ward 2, so it like kind of protects itself early on. And whenever you cast an artifact spell, it gets bigger. And so today we are going to be playing a essentially blue Krark-Clan Ironworks shops deck. This is going to be kind of wild. So I goldfished a handful of games with this deck. I goldfished 3 games. I think the first time I made a turn 1 God Pharaoh's statue. The second time, I think I had 15 power on board on turn 2. And the third time, on turn 2 or turn 3, I had about 20 power and a Karn and a Mycosynth Lattice. So we're going to do some really stupid things. We are absolutely going to be vintaging people. So kind of one of the things that we're looking to do is get a Foundry Inspector in play. The artifacts we play via Patchwork Automaton are cheaper. And there's actually an infinite combo in the deck. If you have a Foundry Inspector and 2 Sensei's Divining Tops, you can tap, draw a card with top, tap, draw a card with the other top, redrawing top number 1, replay top number 1 for free, tap, draw top number 2, and create an infinitely sized Patchwork Automaton, which is pretty sick. But honestly, we don't even have to go infinite, because if we get a Krark-Clan Ironworks and a a Krark-Clan Ironworks and a Scrap Trawler in play, we can kind of sacrifice a good portion of our board and just kind of loop a handful of artifacts via Scrap Trawler and make Patchwork Automaton like lethal sized. I am really excited for this deck list because we get the raw power of just blue cards like Ancestral Time Walk and Tinker, coupled with the raw power of like Mishra's Workshop based starts. I don't have too much to say about the deck construction. I really like what's here. One thing that came up in the Twitter discussion is, should these islands be the blue artifact land, Seat of the Synod? And I think the answer is no, because you want to have some mana producing lands that still work in the face of a Collector Oof. And Collector Oof will be pretty darn good against this deck. It's already going to shut off a lot of what I have going on. You don't want it to shut off everything. Yeah, I think let's just go ahead and hop right into the league. I'm very excited about this one. If you're new here, please consider subscribing if you enjoy the content, and if you're a regular, throw me a like before the video begins. This is the easiest way to support my content for free. If you want to support my content in a paid way, there's all sorts of ways ranging from Patreon to YouTube memberships to do so. All right, let's battle. Hey, Phil from the future here. If you have time to watch one round, go watch round 4. I do the most broken things there. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, opening hand has a Tinker. Opening hand is really slow by the standards of this deck, though, and I'm not actually going to have an artifact in play to tinker out. I think I just take advantage of the fact that I'm on the play here and just go ahead and mulligan this one. Like, I very much have faith in this deck to do broken things. I'll be keeping this hand. I'm not going to be great versus a Wasteland. I think I'm going to throw back my Karn here. I think the Mystic Forge is better than the Karn. And the Ichor Wellspring is my play if I miss out on a land drop or I get wastelanded or something like that. I don't know, maybe I throw back the Wellspring and just Wellspring. I do technically have 4 mana already. Alright. I'll throw back the Wellspring. Like the Karn start is just so powerful in a lot of worlds. The Mystic Forge, I guess, like also is a little weaker if I resolve Trinisphere, but I'm not always going to just resolve this Trinisphere. But I am this game. Hell yeah. Bizarre. Ah, not bizarre. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. How much bullshit do I have in my sideboard? That much bullshit. I can still just resolve Karn next turn. Yeah, let's just plan on resolving Karn next turn and get this Mystic Forge in here now. This is a little worse, obviously, since I have this. Foundry Inspector. Love that. I'll leave it on top of my library for now, but I think I'm probably going to exile that, because, like, I would be fine hitting land drops. Yeah, alright. There's another Foundry Inspector. Alright. Understood. My Trinisphere ends up leaving play. I've got some pretty good stuff available to me. Alright, yeah. Arn. I don't think I need to tutor immediately. I think I'm just going to whack my opponent for 4 here. Just note, in case you're not super familiar with this interaction, Trinisphere only works if it's untapped. Urza Saga, sure. I think I'm going to go ahead and upkeep stop here. Actually, Arn is going to fish out a Pithing Needle. Do I still want this top? Not really. It's okay. God Pharaoh's statue. Heck yeah. Ironworks on top. No, Trinisphere wins in this situation. Like, my stuff's gonna cost 3. That's just how this is going to work. Alright, so here's my needle. This can get Force of Willed. And it looks like that's potentially happening here. Oh, okay. Is not. Alright, so Urza Saga is no longer doing its thing. My opponent now is in the territory where, like, they can cast spells. I don't know exactly what my opponent is playing. I'm torn between wanting to just hit my opponent with Mystic Forge and wanting to try and get this God Pharaoh statue in play. I think I'm gonna not do this. Soul Ring, not exactly what I'm looking for. I'm gonna assume my life total isn't super relevant here. I'm gonna go 3 mana Soul Ring, do a little more, or a Foundry Inspector. Next turn I'll have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7-ish mana. Go ahead and tutor with Karn. Don't really want to attack for 1 here. I think I'm just going to pick up a defense grid. Call it a turn. This is kind of a weird game. Alright, we're finally getting some movement from my opponent's side. Swords to Plowshares, that's fine. I also could have just gotten the Mycosynth Lattice, in case my opponent Pithing Needles me right here and shuts off my Karn. But getting a God Pharaoh statue into play should be pretty good. Like, as a finisher. Okay, yep. Alright, my Karn has gotten shut off. And it looks like my opponent is going to take some other action. Sure. Bottom. They don't have whatever it is they're looking for. Alright, I do not want this Lotus. Workshop is totally fine. Absolutely good with that draw. I'm going to go ahead and just play out this defense grid. I know that I am going to want it. And then go 6 mana for the God Pharaoh statue. And this is going to kind of bleed my opponent out while making it very difficult for them to actually go and win the game via any sort of combo. All right, they're tapping for something. You're going to see like a Prismatic Ending. Is that a vintage card too? Prismatic Ending on Pithing Needle. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're probably going a little wild here. Go ahead and cast this Ironworks. So with Mystic Forge, you can only cast artifact spells and colorless spells from the top of your library. But don't worry. I think we'll be okay. I'll go ahead and draw a card here. There's a Workshop. I'm fine with just immediately sacrificing the Wellspring to go ahead and just draw that. Go 3 mana. Ancestral target me. Cool. Alright. We have found the namesake card. Time for my opponent to die. How do I want to do this? Am I fine with junking the defense grid? I have Trinisphere in play right now. Yes, I am fine with that. Let's junk the defense grid. Up to 4 mana. Play a Scrap Trawler. Okay, and my opponent is done with me. I've now demonstrated that I'm going to do gross things. So essentially, I would sack a bunch of my stuff, return some of this stuff. Uh, I would be presenting very, very much lethal next turn. I actually don't know what my opponent is playing though. Like I just saw so few cards from my opponent. Like I don't know if there is an Esper control deck right now, or if this is just like some like Esper PO variant. And that makes it hard for me to sideboard. I don't mind having access to Pithing Needle in the main deck, because like I know Urza Saga is a thing that I care about. Also, like Trinisphere is a one of in Vintage, so I think a lot of our games aren't going to have the texture of the game that I just played. My Karn's also a one of, so I'm not going to be able to consistently tutor for Pithing Needle unless I bring some in. I can also bring in defense grids. Like I've got options is what I'm getting at. I think I'm just gonna like trim a little bit of stuff. Like I think I'll trim in Ironworks, trim a Wellspring, trim a Scrap Trawler, trim a Ravager or something, and bring in 4 defense grids. And I'll adjust if I think I need to adjust. I just didn't see enough cards to know. Oh ho 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 ho. That's a weird hand. I think it's a keep. But this is a weird hand because playing the workshop means that I don't have turn 2 Tinker. All right, you get to see what's going on. But I think I want to play workshop so I can turn 1 defense grid. But we'll see. Like there's worlds where I just strip mine my opponent too, depending on what they do. Time walk. All right, reasonable. It's not a super impactful time walk. And I think since they have 2 lands now, I'm less inclined to just strip mine them immediately. Do I need to worry about like a Lavinia? Like, am I supposed to play out this Mox ahead of time? Playing out the Mox ahead of time is probably okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to treat protecting this Tinker as something that matters quite a bit. All right, Vampiric Tutor. I assume is just going to go and find an Ancestral because that card is busted. Or Tinker, that card is also busted. All right. We doing Bolas's Citadel? We're doing Bolas's Citadel. Oh, get a turn, do I? That's awfully neat. So I guess let's go 3 mana. Start with Foundry Inspector. My own Tinker is really good if it resolves, but I'm maybe supposed to just try to keep my opponent from doing something degenerate. Like, Bolas's Citadel is really strong. If I can let my opponent, like, cantrip and such off these lands to help set it up more, I don't think that's good for me. I think I'm gonna go ahead and attack the white mana here. Didn't get blown out by a gush. Alright, let's see how bad this turn is for me. It can range from not that big of a deal to I am instantly dead. That's an Ancestral. Oh, Tolarian Academy is horrifying. Alright. There's the floating blue mana. Show me Ancestral. Oh, it's mystical. Sure. Or a Yawgmoth's Will. Okay. So there's the Ancestral now. Alright. I'm guessing I'm dead somehow here. Let's figure out how. Alright, is this officially PO? Another Tinker. Alright, for Time Vault. Okay, Vamp Tutor is fine. Vamp Tutor plus Bolas's Citadel. Pretty strong combo. You tutor it to the top, and then you just, like, play it. Alright. So my opponent does still have to kill me. I would like to see how they kill me. Like, alright, there's a Time Walk. That's fine. Like, they can activate a Bolas's Citadel twice, but I want to know if they have some other way to actually just kill me. Finding a Demonic Tutor, sure. What are you going to do with that? Mentor. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and concede here, I think. Well, I don't know. My opponent's at 3 life. They don't have that much Bolas's Citadel fuel left. They're at 3. Maybe I'm not dead. I think I'm dead. Oh no, right. They have infinite turns as well. I'm most certainly dead. Yeah, sure. All right, I'm gonna just kind of save my opponent the time here. I forgot about the infinite turns a second ago. Okay, so my opponent is doing Vault Key nonsense. Pithing Needles get even better than I thought they were a second ago. They're a little awkward to have in opening hands still. I don't know if I'm actually going to sideboard. Like, Needle's fine. I've already boarded in a handful of defense grids. I think I'm just going to kind of call this good. Okay, this hand makes a turn 1 Patchwork Automaton, but then has no follow-up. I think I'm just going to go ahead and mulligan that. This is just straight up a beatdown hand that plays double Ravager on turn 1, sacrifices some artifacts on turn 2. This is 2 and 8 power. If I sacrifice both of these, this is 4 and 8 power, backed up by Strip Mine. That's pretty medium. I'm gonna fish here. Okay. At this point, I'm gonna be keeping this hand. This is on 5, which isn't great. I think I keep this stuff. 3 mana is really important to let me cast some of the things that I can op deck. But I'm in trouble if this Patchwork Automaton gets countered. I have the real possibility of, like, doing a vintage thing if this resolves, and if this doesn't resolve, I've got almost nothing left. Alright. Life's bad. See what my opponent can do. Yeah, life's real bad. Ooh, my opponent didn't have more mana sources. That means this Strip Mine can do some serious work. I'm going to play top, look with top, but there's like a 99.9% chance that I am just going to Strip Mine my opponent. Is what I was going to say. Goodbye, Tundra. And my opponent probably doesn't have artifact mana, or they would have played it out in, like, fear of, like, sphere and Trinisphere type effects. Ooh, that's a scary Brainstorm. That's play land, then Brainstorm, so my opponent is potentially Brainstorm locked here. Okay. I really needed a good draw there. I'll hold the Ruby in my hand for Patchwork Automaton-based reasons. My opponent might be Brainstorm locked, but their hand is most certainly better than my own. See what they can do. I'll hold Ruby, he said. Or Patchwork Automaton, he said. So this is bad. In case you're not familiar with the text of Lavinia, each opponent can't cast non-creature spells with mana value greater than the number of lands that player controls, so I can't cast my Krark-Clan Ironworks right now. And whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. So I'm going to lose 2 a turn to this thing, and both of the cards in my hand have been shut off. That's a good one. I am going to just cast this now. If my opponent counters it, my opponent counters it. But I think I... Fuck me. Okay. Finishing the thought. I think I don't win unless I try to do something proactive. Because every turn that I give my opponent to set up, like, things that find Tinker, just put me further and further behind. I think I'm more or less dead at this point. My opponent has 1 billion mana and 2 different hate effects in play. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the towel here. GG's. Do you like supporting small businesses? Do you like Magic cards? Do you wish Magic websites kind of had, like, everything in one place so you didn't have to flip back and forth between a whole bunch of websites? Then consider checking out Top Deck. And as you can see while I'm randomly reloading this, it is updated very frequently with small bug fixes, and you can do everything on here from host deck lists to see card prices, metagames, get articles. They sponsor my channel, and check them out. Back to the show. Yeah, we're gonna keep this hand. That's fine. Oh, I have the God Pharaoh statue in hand. I'm gonna have to tinker for something else. What's my backup tinker target? Mystic Forge or Lodestone Golem. Okay, cool. Alright, so we're gonna play my 2 Moxen and Patchwork Automaton first. So that when I cast the Black Lotus, I get a trigger off of this. Now let's cast Tinker. Maybe 3 mana to do so. And I'll sacrifice one of these Moxen. We are going to go and find Mystic Forge. Oh, I found Mana Crypt. Oh, we're going. We're going. All right, let's resize this. Okay. So this is 2 mana I actually can't cast that, although I do want this card. I think I'll call it there. Like, I can take a... Ooh. Alright, so let's see how much this Mana Crypt does to me over the course of the game. Let's go Tails. Tails never fails. Nailed it. Another Patchwork Automaton? God, putting the Foundry Inspector into play is so good, but, like, the earlier I do this, the better. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I cast a Chalice on 0, just to grow these things, and get a card deeper. Let's go no. Alright, Ravager's cool. I'll bash in for 4 here. And I'm probably not going to want to draw this Ravager. Oh, man. Ooh. We potentially on a mirror or a pseudo mirror? We are. Alright. If my opponent can do something broken here. If they have Wellsprings, they can potentially do some cool stuff. They can float a mana with the Mox, and sacrifice the Wellspring, returning the Mox, so they have to draw a card and net an extra mana out of it. Ooh, they've got Ravager, too. My opponent can make a pretty big board here. It looks like they're going for counters rather than mana. At least with this first set. See where they end up going. Yeah, it was super unfortunate that I had the God Pharaoh statue in hand. And my Mystic Forge hasn't been super good here. Okay, sure. Yeah, my opponent like has the engine online that I don't have online currently. Oh yeah, there's their automaton. Yeah, I think my opponent is going to end up with a more busted draw here. Maybe I shouldn't have put that other Patchwork Automaton in play. We'll see how it goes, but I think my opponent is very far ahead currently. They've got 6 mana. I'm walk. Okay. Fine. No big deal. That was turn 2, by the way. I absolutely fucking just got vintaged. My Tinker on turn 1 wasn't good. Well, wasn't that good because, like, I had the God Pharaoh statue in hand, unfortunately, which would have, like, stopped the nonsense that my opponent was doing. Yeah, I think I just basically am dead here. Maybe not literally, but maybe literally. You out of the way. Alright. So there's already 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 theoretical damage in play. And my opponent can probably spread this around enough that I'm just going to be dead, even if I block one of the larger creatures. Alright, what's the follow-up? 4 mana. Scrap Trawler nonsense. Triggers twice now since there's 2 of them. Alright, you know what? I think since my opponent is showing off the same thing that I'm trying to do, that I should just, like, let this play out and just, like, see what some of these broken draws look like in case I don't have them myself. I definitely had them in goldfishing. I haven't gotten them yet in this league. I've spent more time queuing for matches than I have playing matches, unfortunately. Alright, with the Trinisphere in play now, I don't think there's any way I can possibly win. I will concede at that point. Alright, what do I have for this mirror? Pithing Needle and Tabernacle do some stuff. Some of these cards like Chalice and Trinisphere can be really good if opponent just said the deck's so cool. Anyway, like some of these things like Chalice and Trinisphere can be good when I'm on the play and less so when I'm on the draw. Pithing Needle can stop like whatever thing my opponent has that I don't. But notably it doesn't stop the Ironworks itself. I think I'm gonna junk Chalice and Trinisphere and play the 2 Pithing Needles. Alright. Land, Jet, Patchwork Automaton, Lotus, Scrap Trawler. And then I'll have 2 kind of redraws. Okay. It's not exactly broken, but I don't think, like, I throw back this hand. Alright. Land, Jet, play my boy. Yeah, the funny thing is, like, normally, like, your Lotus hands are just, like, absolutely insane, but, like, this deck has multiple lands that are just, like, recursive Black Lotuses. So, like, the differential in power between the Lotus hands and the non-Lotus hands is how do I say this? Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Uh how bad is this gonna be? My opponent has 6 mana there for something. Alright, just straight up a God Pharaoh statue on turn 1. F. Alright, so my spells cost 2 more to cast. Which means if I don't spike a land, I can't actually cast a spell. That's bad. Card is good. It is all spells, right? Yeah, it is all spells, so this costs 3 mana. Alright. I'm hitting for 6 a turn, but I can't cast any more spells. My opponent has 7 on board mana. Holy shit. Alright. Let's see how this goes. Alright, so they're gonna activate top. I can't really attack right now. Like, I'm getting drained. I can't really put my Patchwork Automaton in danger. Yeah, this is unfortunate. I don't know that my opponent will trade away something for the Scrap Trawler. I am going to go ahead and attack with that. That gives me Lotus back if they block it. But I'm stuck here until I draw another land. And, like, this is the power of Workshop, right? Oh, no. All right. I think we just got vintaged again. My hand was good, not great. And my opponent's hand was great. Oh, no. That's an automaton. Okay. My opponent did the more broken thing here. So my opponent has Mystic Forge Sensei's Divining Top, meaning they can just, like, tap, draw a card, and repeatedly grow their Patchwork Automaton. Automatons, rather. Alright, with that time walk, I'm going to go ahead and throw in the towel. GG's. Workshop, 1 mana floating, Automaton, Lotus, 4 total mana, Krark-Clan Ironworks. Am I on the draw here? This hand potentially works with 1 more card, I think. I guess I keep this? I need more games to know what the keepable hands look like. This feels like I'm just like a Scrap Trawler away, or another creature away from this just being really strong. Alright, so we're potentially playing against Oath here. Alright, my opponent topped, which is definitely worrying, and I did not want to draw more mana there. Like, I want business spells. Okay, that resolved, which is very good, because if that doesn't resolve, I don't really have a good avenue towards winning the game. Am I supposed to just play Ravager this turn? Because it sets me up better for next turn. Like, just in terms of, like, amount of power in play? Probably. It's mana inefficient. Yeah, maybe if it's mana inefficient, I should just play the Ironworks. Again, I just need some reps with this deck to get a better feel for, like, what is and is not acceptable. Oh, wow, that got the counterspell, but the Automaton didn't. Sure. I'll get in for my 1 point of damage. Opponent's at 17, but I could just be facing down Oath immediately. And I probably don't beat that. Yeah, alright, I am facing down Oath immediately. Alright. I play a Ravager. These aren't artifacts, so I can't sacrifice them with Ravager, unfortunately. Play a Pearl. Play out a mana source. Don't think I want to go ham with just, like, double sacrificing to Ravager here. To sneak in just a tiny bit more damage. Because I might need to do some Ravager sacrifice shenanigans in order to, like, deal with a lifelink off a Grizzlebrand or something like that. I can potentially attack through a Grizzlebrand next turn with the Automaton. Like, I can turn it into a 7/7 already. I'd like to turn it into at least an 8/8. Alright. See how much stuff my opponent can vomit onto the board, or how much of my stuff they can deal with. Alright, Ancestral, sure. I don't really feel like cards are the bottleneck here. Like, opponent has 12 cards in hand. Okay, my opponent's back to playing stuff. There's a Tropical Island. Alright, there's a Preordain. Alright, I think that's gonna be the end of the turn. Okay, this is not what I'm looking for. I don't really think I can attack in and attempt to trade with that Grizzlebrand here, unfortunately. Like, my opponent's just going to end up with another large creature. Okay, they're opting not to do that. I am unsure why. Okay. Pernicious Deed is obviously pretty rough here. So that essentially nukes my entire board here. So this is X equals 2, so all of this is going, so I don't gain anything by doing Arcbound Ravager shenanigans. Sure. I have to beat this Grizzlebrand from 0 cards. I mean, this is the sort of thing that can do it. But opponent has looked at so many cards, like, this shouldn't resolve. Okay, there we go. There's the Force of Will. Now I probably need something like Mystic Forge to win from here. Okay, there's a draw 7. And let's see if my opponent has a follow-up. Okay, sure, top's fine. I'm at 6, so Godpharaoh's Statue does not bail me out here. Alright. So I can... Sideboard cards don't do a lot here. Like my Furnace-Sphere Chalice, Godpharaoh Statue type stuff is a lot of what's going to do work here. Like, this is for Doomsday. This is not for this matchup. I can, like, Needle a Grizzlebrand. Kinda eh. Graveyard Hate is also eh. Defense Grid is acceptable, but not insane. Yeah, maybe I do some sort of trimming again to get defense grids in here and call it good. All right, I've got a workshop hand. I have a Trinisphere on turn 1. I'll keep this. Let's see. So I have 3/4 mana on turn 1. It's probably just more important for me to play like the Trinisphere. Sure, Leyline's fine. Anyway, it's probably more important for me to play the Trinisphere than it is to get the Patchwork Automaton into play ASAP. Alright. Let's attempt Trinisphere. Okay, great, it worked. That's very good for me. Because then next turn I can play like Patchwork Automaton and strip mine my opponent. Okay, I can't strip mine that. Chalice is cool. They always lead on Patchwork Automaton. And then I think I will go ahead and play the Chalice. I have to do this whole Chalice Transfer dance, though, which sucks. Alright. Only took like 20 seconds to remember how to do that. Alright, so I've got my like nice restricted cards this time around. Opponent having multiple fetch lands here to play around my strip mine is pretty annoying. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total mana. Given that, I'm going to go ahead and lead on the Wellspring, just in case I change my mind about what I want to play. I don't expect that to happen, but you never know. Ancient Tomb. Do I want to play Ancient Tomb rather than show Strip Mine? Potentially. Nah. Alright, so there's Lodestone Golem. All attack for 4. Alright, there's the concession. My opponent is bringing in ley lines. They don't seem super good against me. Like, they do stuff with this, but this is not the stuff that's going to win me the game. If my opponent is going to bring in ley lines, like, maybe I should just, like, board these out and just keep more things that attack my opponent. Try to blank some of their cards. I will be keeping my hand. As it stands now, I probably play turn 1 Defense Grid into turn 2 Tinker. That can potentially change, but that's my plan. That was bottom, so my opponent is probably looking for something. Lodestone Golem. So how good is Time Walk? Play Time Walk, then have 4 mana on turn 2. Not great. Let's go ahead and play Sapphire and just play the defense grid out. And I can attempt to do cool stuff on my next turn. Okay, nice. Yeah, did not want the Tinker to eat it to that. All right. Just going to have to deal with Oko. We're just going to have to deal with Oko. All right, my Sapphire is becoming a 3/3. So I think the easy play here is just cast this Time Walk. And this is so very good, unless my opponent has another pitch counter. Alright, it resolves. That means I just get to attack and kill this Oko over 2 attack steps. Very nice. Done that at Oko. Alright. Oko is dead. Now I'm going to start setting up Foundry Inspector shenanigans. Note, this is not currently an artifact. This is just a creature-elk. So I can't tinker that away, just in case you were thinking about that line. On the off chance that something would happen to this in combat, I think I'm going to take some moves right now. Let's go 2 mana, play a Foundry Inspector. This Mana Vault becomes free. And now it's a question of, like, do I play Lodestone Golem or Tinker? I guess there's also, like, Hurkyl's Recall to think about. Maybe at this point I'll go ahead and attack in case something weird happens. Alright, opponent goes to 14. Play the Lodestone Golem. Alright, it resolved. I will play the Ravager. Call it a turn. I very much have lethal damage on board, plus also Tinker, and I have a taxation effect in play. Alright, we get the win there, so we're on the board now. Alright, I have no initial mana sources here. This has to be a mulligan. I'm just short on mana again. Like, am I supposed to keep this Patchwork Automaton hand that is kind of weak? Or do I, like, just fish for a workshop hand at this point? I don't feel super good about this one, if I'm being honest. Like, I go Land Pearl, Automaton, Ravager on turn 2 and attack for 2. I don't feel like I'm vintaging people with this hand. Okay. Yikes. So I think Scrap Trawler always goes back, and then it's a question of, like, do I keep the card that's good if I draw, like, a workshop, or do I keep the card that's good if I draw a blue source? I think I'm going to keep the card that's good if I draw, like, a generic land and pitch the Tinker. But this is, like, not what I am looking to do. The hands that I have gotten, I feel like, have been significantly worse than the ones when I was goldfishing. Such is life. Alright, sure. Alright. Ragavan. Okay, I mean, this doesn't get countered. It's really good. Really, really, really good. Always yield to that. Okay. We're resolving, and I hit an artifact. And I hit another artifact. Okay, okay. Now I'm actually doing something broken. I'm gonna try to fish harder. Nice. So let's tap Mana Crypt, play Soul Ring. Tap Mana Crypt, play Soul Ring. There we go. Ironworks. Hello. Go ahead and play that. Leave a Wellspring on top of deck. That seems fine. I also could just, like, go deeper. Maybe I go deeper. Sacrifice, like, Emerald. Play the Wellspring. Scrap Trawler? Okay. So now, I'll sacrifice Ichor Wellspring for 2. Foundry Inspector as well. Hell yeah. Let's sacrifice a Pearl. I'll get a Scrap Trawler into play. Let's sacrifice the Soul Ring and return a Pearl. Alright, alright. This is pretty gross. Now I'll go 3 mana. I'll play a Foundry Inspector. I found a top. That's fantastic. Let's go 1 mana for a Wellspring. Draw a card. There's a Workshop. So let's go 2 mana, sack Wellspring. Return a Soul Ring. Draw that Workshop off the top. Play a Soul Ring. Tap it for mana. 3 mana. Play a Scrap Trawler. I think I'm just going to get lethal this turn in all likelihood. Alright. Ironworks. Sacrifice a 0-drop. Ironworks. Sacrifice a Soul Ring. Scrap Trawler back. Emerald and Mana Crypt. Disgusting. Let's go ahead and throw a Lodestone Golem into play at this point. Oh, that's 2 Sensei's Divining Tops? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Alright. So at this point, I can basically create an infinite-sized creature. All right, there's a Sensei's Divining Top. All right, so I can go ahead and tap this, draw a card, put top on top of my library, play top, get another Patchwork Automaton. Yeah. Tap a top, draw a card, play a thing. There's another Foundry Inspector. Yeah, there's multiple Foundry Inspectors. Now a whole bunch of shit on top of my library is just free. And now I'm just playing with myself, if I'm being honest. But it's very fun. All right, Foundry Inspector. Yup. Ichor Wellspring. Yup. Basically, I'm just looking to find a time walk at this point. So let's go ahead and with Ironworks, my opponent has disconnected. All right, I'll sack multiple things here. Go ahead and play a Wellspring. Draw a card. That's fine. This is just free. God Pharaoh statue is disgustingly good. Blow some mana with a Mana Crypt. Sacrifice this. There's 8 mana. There's a God Pharaoh statue. I have a few more 0 drops that I can just go ahead and sacrifice. I'll sacrifice an Ichor Wellspring. Turn Soul Ring. Turn Mana Crypt. Turn Sapphire. Draw a card. Go ahead and cast some of these things again. Now we're just looking for the time walk. Where's my Sapphire? There's my Sapphire. Past Ancestral. Targeting me. There's a Ravager. I've only got one thing that I can attack with this turn, which is why I'm not just winning the game immediately. Alright. There's an Ironworks. Let's play an Ironworks. Junk a Wellspring. Scrap Trawler can get back Emerald. Scrap Trawler can get back Pearl. And I forgot to put another thing in the graveyard there. That's fine. We are winning this game by miles, not by inches. Alright, Ravager. I guess I'll like Chalice on 1. X is currently 1. Oh, I have multiple addition reduction effects in play. X is currently 0. X is 1. Okay. Okay, fine. I will just draw a card. Let's just sacrifice this. Let's float some mana there. Sacrifice this. Sacrifice a Scrap Trawler here. I'll just return a handful of Wellsprings. Get that Chalice off the top of my library so I don't have to figure out how to cast it. Alright. There's the top. Wellspring, get that off of the top of the library. Lotus. Wellspring, take that off the top of the library. Another Foundry Inspector. Okay, there's the time walk. So now I just have to get my Sapphire back into play. Or just go ahead and use the Lotus for that. Or I guess I have to draw this, right? Alright. Load a little mana. Sacrifice a couple of things. Sacrifice a Wellspring. Scrap Trawler. Turn Sapphire. Sapphire, return a Mox. Alright. Play Sapphire. Time walk. Okay, we could go deeper there, but that seems good. Let's call that good. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Storm count was 47, by the way. Alright, so opponent takes their block. I discard some cards. I'll do my mana crypt flip. And I'll go ahead and attack in for 1 billion damage. Opponent's at negative 127. Okay, there's the broken shit that I was trying to do. That's a turn 2 kill, turn 3 technically, if like you count the time walk in there. The only card I saw from my opponent was a Ragavan. I'll probably play Defense Grids then. Just kind of following the pattern that I do, I will probably trim things, not cut things. Alright, this produces a lot of power on turn 1. It just goes like Patchwork Automaton, and then puts 4 counters on it. I'll keep this hand. The hand's pretty mediocre if the Patchwork Automaton gets countered, but can't have it all. See what my opponent can do on their Lotus start. All right. I mean, Mentor turn 1 is pretty good. That happens to be quite good at chump blocking for Patchwork Automaton. This is going to be a tough start to beat. I mean, I will do what I am able to do here. But this is a spot where we're going to see like the difference in power level between this and Kappa Cannoneer. All right, it's resolved. So I'm going to try to make a very large creature. We'll see how that goes. Like, I expect this to become large and, like, get out of, like, lightning bolt range or whatever. But I'm not sure whether or not, like, this ends up being good enough to win the game versus a turn 1 mentor. Like, this is just -1 mentor token per turn. Is not the greatest. I always yield to these things. I don't have removal. My opponent can cobble together with their brainstorm. My opponent is on the go wide plan, and I'm on the go tall plan, and I think their plan is better right now. In this exact spot. We'll see. If they can't string together very many spells, it's kind of whatever. Am I fine with attacking with a 7/7 that could potentially grow larger than that? Yeah, I am. So let's play the Soul Ring. Yeah, so if my opponent casts a spell, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I can easily kind of deal with that via Ravager. So I'm fine with this, and Ward 2 means that this thing is just, like, not getting targeted easily. Yeah, that's where I thought this was going. So my opponent can play Sword and Shield, where I can basically only play Sword right now. So I think my opponent is quite favored in this spot. See what their follow-up is. A Dig Through Time. A Treasure Cruise. Sure. Alright, my opponent's not going to try to squeeze in any damage. That's fine. This is potentially quite good. Let's cast this top. Alright, there is a Force of Negation. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm still good for my attacks once Ravager gets involved with the math. I am definitely afraid that my opponent can just kill me in one turn, though, if like some sort of time walk effect gets involved. I mean, like, I guess technically that's 2 turns, but like you get what I mean, right? Like a decent sized mentor attack off like 2 cantrips followed by a time walk probably beats me. 3 mana Dak Faden. That's not good for me as targeting Ravager. So this is gonna kind of force me to put a lot of my eggs in one basket on this Patchwork Automaton, and then my opponent just steals it. Not great for me. This is Ward 2. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and sack the Ravager to itself without making it any larger here. Yes, to that ability. Yeah, now my opponent gets to just like leave back this 1 token, protect their Dak Faden. I don't know. Let's see if I can find something gross to do here. All right, let's activate a top. Scrap Trawler. It's just another creature that I can play that pressures 1 more token. That's, I guess, fine. It's not impressive. My opponent's pausing like they have a counter spell as well. Okay, they do. They have Force. I think it's obligatory to attack the Dak Faden. Otherwise, like, that card will beat me on its own. But the issue is, like, that my opponent just has a decent number of things, and they can probably just, like, kill me with what's on board. I think this is one of those kind of, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't situations, because I know the top couple cards of my library, and they're not great. Okay, they are going to go ahead and take the block. That's fine. I don't think they have to be in any hurry to beat me. Like, Dak stealing my Patchwork Automaton is going to beat me, and Mentor on board is also going to beat me. Time Walk absolutely just instantly kills me. That's fine. I'll throw in the towel here. All right. Definitely feel good about bringing in the defense grids. Tabernacle becomes something that I can consider playing for Mentor. But like my opponent had like the Mentor Lotus start, which is kind of like the nuts. I think I'm just going to go ahead and resubmit as is and just kind of hope that I can flex being on the play here. All right. I have 4 mana on turn 1, which is going to be Defense Grid into Ichor Wellspring. And I have like Ironworks plus Scrap Trawler. I think I keep this one. This doesn't do anything like absolutely wild immediately. but it, like, wastes my opponent's first counter spell, has a redraw, and has an engine in it, inherently. And I do think I am going to take the time to defense grid. There's some naked Ironworks lines that are pretty saucy, but I don't want that Ironworks to get countered right now. Are we resolving? We're resolving. Okay. I'll just go ahead and play Wellspring, take a redraw, and then hopefully do something gross next turn. I can get like Wastelanded or something, and it wouldn't be great for me, but Shattering Spree, the defense grid. Sure. Okay, so I probably work towards Tinker next turn. Although, let's see if this resolves, because if this resolves, I can attempt it this turn. It resolved. I'm gonna play it cool. I maybe should have played Ancient Tomb. Alright. Draw a card. 3 mana. Play out Scrap Trawler. Oh wow, that got Force of Willed. Okay. Glad I didn't Tinker. And then I think I'll go ahead and just chill here. Time Walk is annoying, but fine. Like a Dak Phaeton that gets played out here that would be super awkward for me. That's very good. Shattering Spree makes things a little tough here. I might be better off tinkering or Mystic Forge accordingly. God Pharaoh Statue is still really good. Yeah, this is so awkward for me because like I can make it take my opponent's entire turn for them to get rid of the God Pharaoh Statue and like get rid of their Dreadhorde Arcanist just via creatures. That's potentially just fine. Maybe I should just do that. I don't know. The Mystic Forge line can be so good. I'm gonna go for that. All right, let's tinker, sacrificing the Mox. There's also some crazy lines where I just like go for a Trinisphere here. But I think I'm gonna go for the high upside line. Hello. Hello. This is 4 total mana. Use 3 of it for this, and then not immediately cast this. Let's just get the Scrap Trawler into play. Okay. Alright. Now I think I'm in business. Alright. Mana Crypt. Let's junk that with Mystic Forge. I don't want that. Another Scrap Trawler. Cool. I'm gonna play the Foundry Inspector here. Go ahead and Ironworks. Junk Mana Crypt. 1 mana Ravager. Junk Ravager here. Go here. Here, I guess. Scrap Trawler. Return Mana Crypt. Yes. Cast a new Scrap Trawler. And now we're just kind of off to the races. Time Walk is great if I can draw that. Which I should be able to do. There's 3 mana. 4 mana. Go ahead and junk these. Need to get back a Wellspring. So let's sacrifice a Scrap Trawler in order to do that. There's a Wellspring. Here's like a Mana Crypt. Cast Wellspring to get Time Walk into hand. Go ahead and crack that for blue. I'm just going to go ahead and cast my Time Walk now. There's Mana Crypt. There's this. Draw that Strip Mine. Okay, there's an Automaton. That should let me pretty easily kill next turn. Good stuff. All right, yeah, and there is the concession from my opponents. All right, there's a broken round. There's what I came here to do. Okay, this is a hand with 1 billion mana, but no real plan for something to do with it. I think I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this hand, and yikes. Now we end up on the opposite extreme with not enough mana. I don't think I'm just going to pray here. I think I'm going to try to look for a more stable hand. On 5, I throw back 1 or both of the Ironworks and keep a turn 2 Lodestone Golem. One of those goes back for sure. So assuming 2 of these are on the bottom, I'll have 6 things that I can draw. 4 Ravagers, 2 Ironworks to sacrifice this and get another card out of it later. I think that's acceptable. I think I just need the redraw here. Oh no. Turn 2 Lodestone is probably not ideal here. The Ancient Tomb is also going to be like a liability to some degree, depending on how aggressive my opponent's start is. Icarid. Oh no, Hollow Ones. Alright. Do I have ley lines or anything? Lotus. I have soul guide lanterns and tabernacles. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 6 total mana. So I guess I am starting on Lotus into Ichor Wellspring for a redraw. That feels pretty bad. But there's some pretty good things that I can hit. Like, say, Time Walk or something. Another Ironworks. Okay. At this point, I'll go ahead and just go to 4 total mana and flute my Lodestone Golem into play. This ended up being a good turn 1, but not necessarily a good turn 1 versus this deck. Like, my opponent is doing Degenerate Dredge stuff here. Yikes. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to, like, assemble a combo kill if I want to win this game. 'Cause, like, there's 2 prized amalgams coming back. I'm taking 4 damage, or sorry, 4 damage this turn. More if I don't block Ichorid, and I don't really think I can block Ichorid. Yikes. Yeah. Sure, this is fine. Silver Smoke will go away. That do anything? Not innately. I guess this is a Mystic Forge situation. I can't really do my thing with Ironworks first, though, unfortunately. I think this looks like this. Go 3 mana. Oh, this is a non-artifact spell. Go 4 mana. Sacrifice the Wellspring. Draw a card. Hopefully don't draw a Mystic Forge. I'm just going to take a look, make sure there's nothing I want more. There's not. Get Mystic Forge and get lucky. Ops, cool. Am I just taking 8 next turn? I block this 4/4. I take 3, 6, 7, 8, not counting Ichorid already. So I have to see if I can hit a 0-cost artifact, which I did not. That means I am dead. Unfortunate, because we were doing something powerful, but just didn't get to quite interact with my opponent in a meaningful way. So I've got 7 cards I want to bring in. My Chalice could go out for sure. My Trinosphere is not exactly fantastic because my opponent's not actually going to cast that many spells, but it can stop some pitch spells, so I probably still keep it. I just have a lot of things I want to bring in here, which is a little unfortunate. I probably can cut the Karn. I'm going to bring in all these Soul Guide Lanterns. I want to have them early. I even need the God Pharaoh statue. I don't know. Like, tinkering for that in some situations can be pretty good. It still does make, like, hollow ones and stuff cost 2 more. So, like, that's a thing. I go down, like, an Ironworks, a Trawler, a Wellspring, a Ravager. How many more do I need to board out? 1. Like, go down 1 top since I'm bringing in some other 0-cost artifacts? Unsure. Alright. Makes a very large automaton on turn 1. So I go land, Mana Vault, Automaton, Ruby, Soul Ring, Scrap Trawler, and I have an Ironworks as well. This probably ends up being a keep. Alright, opponent is Serum Powdering and going to 5. Serum Powdering again, keeping on 5. Let's see how broken my nonsense is compared to what my opponent can do. As I would like consider my hand good, not great. I'm not actually stopping the things they're doing, but like since I have my entire engine in hand as well as a 4/4 that will probably be attacking for at least 5 next turn. Mind Break Trap. Wow, okay, so I played around Mind Break Trap on the automaton unintentionally by playing just Mana Vault first. Ah, alright. Let's see how broken my opponent's turn is. My hand loses a lot of oomph without, not gonna untap that, without the Scrap Trawler. Wall! Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can play the Ironworks this turn. 4 mana, play Ironworks, sacrifice the 2 0-drops, get Scrap Trawler. Yeah, this is probably gonna be okay to just do. Alright. So 2 mana, sacrificing this. 2 mana, sacrificing this. Play Scrap Trawler. Sacrifice the Soul Ring. Return a ruby. Play a ruby. I can go a little harder than that. Like, I can sacrifice the Ironworks to itself and return Soul Ring or sacrifice Scrap Trawler. But I think I just want to, like, leave this stuff in play and bash in for 7. Opponent's at 13. See what all they can do. Sure, a couple of Creeping Chills is pretty good. Be at 13. There's a Chump Blocker. Okay, another Bazaar is kind of scary. So I guess it means that my opponent isn't going to be holding something like a Force of Vigor in hand. So, like, that's good. But there's a lot of prized amalgams in the graveyard. I'm at 9. Oh no, those chain together. Oh, yikes. So, what is the exact wording on this? If it enters from your graveyard at the beginning of the next end step, so they get those at my end step. Holy hell. Ravager. Okay. Can I kill this turn? I probably can't kill this turn. I always start with playing a Ravager. I am just very dead, right? How many amalgams are there? 1, 2, 3 amalgams. So even if I block 3 different things, it's still 3, 6, and 11, or 10 damage probably. So I need to try to kill this turn. The issue is I have to get 19 power onto one creature. I don't think I can do that with what I have going on here. Can't sacrifice Scrap Trawler or Automaton if I want to try to do this. I need some starting mana here. Maybe sacrifice Ruby to this. Sacrifice this here. Lets me return Soul Ring. Play Soul Ring. Tap for 3 mana. Sacrifice this here. Lets me return Ruby. Do my thing with Ruby. Now I can't cast any more things. Exactly. I'll sacrifice Ruby to this. Guess I sacrifice Ravager to itself at this point. Yes. So Arcbound Ravager. Put counters on Scrap Trawler. Scrap Trawler, trigger. I guess returning Soul Ring. Yes. Play Soul Ring. Now I can't sacrifice things anymore. And I've kind of run out of steam. I'm attacking for 18 on turn 3, but that's not good enough, unfortunately. Yeah, so my opponent gets all these prized amalgams back now, and I die to the combat step. GG's. So we end up with a 2-3 record in this league. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Pretty good, a little inconsistent. I wish that I had mulliganed a little differently in the early rounds. I think there's a huge delta between, like, the average hand of this deck and the good hands of this deck. Like, I was frequently keeping hands that, like, had a Lotus, but, like, the workshop-based hands are just better. This deck is a little land light. Not mana source light, but, like, actual factual land light. And when you hit the opening lands that are like, say, Ruby, Sapphire, Patchwork Automaton, and you don't actually get the value off of the triggers for casting, like, those cards, your hands end up being a little weak. So I feel like I maybe didn't mulligan aggressively early enough, but the power level of this deck list is, like, definitely there. It can be a lot of clicks, as we saw in round 4, when you have, like, the full combo to actually go off, but it's pretty hard to stop. And, like, I kind of scoffed at one of my opponents sporting in Leyline against me, but, like, I get it. I get wanting to stop those degenerate loops. I don't think I have too much more to say. Like, I don't feel like I can critique the deck list and say, like, oh, I should be boarding this thing out, or anything like that. Or sorry, like, I should remove this thing from the deck. Like, I really like the defense grids in the sideboard. Like, the archive traps are probably there for, like, the Doomsday type matchups where, like, that is going to be just a crippling power level card. I do kind of wish that I had ley lines for Dredge, like we saw there. But I understand, like, wanting to have the card that is an artifact for these matchups. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, click the like button on your way out. If you have any thoughts about the deck list, go ahead and throw those in the comments. Have a great rest of the day. See ya.